There is a new sheriff in town. No, it's not the US. It's not Europe. It's a group that goes by the name of BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now these five were the founding members. The club has now grown to include the UAE, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Iran. Since 2017, global trade has been on the rise. If you look closely, you will see something interesting. When companies move their production closer to our home markets, it reduces transit times. It's not China versus the US, not the global South versus the West. It's a reshuffle. It's a new balancing act. In 2000, it stood at around $1 trillion. By 2022, it was over $21 trillion. That's more than 20 times. And going forward, this figure will only grow. BRICS nations are at the heart of the global economy today. They have the potential to rebalance global economic power. Developing countries are coming together to protect their interests. They're making ambitious investments in infrastructure. They're working together in areas like green energy, digital transformation. Well, BRICS as a whole is winning, but individual members will have to work their way up. For instance, Brazil is well placed geographically. It has the potential to become the trade hub of South America. Likewise, India has emerged as a major electronics manufacturer. It has what it takes to dominate this sector, but this will require a lot of effort, focus, and skill. If not, countries will be left behind in this new game of global trade. Put together, they're making a compelling pitch to the world. It also minimizes cultural differences. After all, local workers will have a better understanding of our needs. So that's a good thing, right? Well, yes and no. Yes, because this results in shorter lead times, more reliable supply. But that comes at a cost, because local labor is often more expensive. In Europe, for example, wages are nearly 3 times higher than in Asia. In the United States, they're 6 times higher. So if production shifts from, say, Vietnam to the US, that will increase overall costs. Eventually, those costs will be passed on to the consumer. In other words, we will end up paying more for products. Countries that are far away from each other, politically speaking, their trade volumes grew 2.5% slower. That's compared to countries that are politically close. What does that tell you? That global trade is changing. Countries are choosing to trade more with partners that align with their political systems. This is what we call economic fragmentation, and it is picking up fast. And more developing countries are knocking on the door. BRICS is an acronym, also a concept, an idea whose time has come. Simply put, it's a grouping of major developing countries. And 2, they want to reduce their dependence on dollar-dominated systems. In other words, they want to de-dollarize. For obvious reasons. The dollarization drive is getting most of the attention. We have seen countries from Latin America to the Middle East and Africa ditching the dollar. BRICS is giving this a big push. But there is another story here, the story of rising economic nationalism. Together, they make up 46% of global GDP. Their combined share in global trade is around 30%. Put together, they have enough firepower to change the rules of global trade. And let me tell you what they want. They want to trade more among themselves. That's one. Let me show you some data. Now this has many dimensions. One of them is what we call nearshoring or reshoring. What's the difference? Nearshoring is when companies move their production facilities closer to their home market. Reshoring is when they move it back home. Basically, companies are reducing their dependence on faraway factories. Instead, they're betting on those close to home. This trend is driven by 2 factors. No. One is the need to enhance supply chain resilience. The pandemic and the war in Ukraine expose just how fragile global supply chains are. And factor no. 2 is reducing geopolitical risks. Companies don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. They want to diversify, reduce risks, and that's why they're betting on nearshoring and reshoring. This has a direct bearing on consumers like you and me. Think about it. So this is the new global trade game. In fact, let me show you another data. Intra-BRICS trade has been on the rise. So who exactly is winning the new global trade game?